new that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, beautiful people. How are you? It's been one of those days today around here. We'll get to some of the cuter things that have happened on the property today in the not-too-distant future. First of all, want to thank everybody who has bought a hoodie. Vince has told me that the hoodies will be arriving at him tomorrow, and he'll be posting those out to the 3 or 4 or 5 people, whoever it was that bought a hoodie. So your hoodies will be on the way tomorrow. Yip, yeah, all good. We have some other news floating around in our world, of course. We have our little blue silver Byron Bobs. I'm apparently getting 9 of these sometime this week, maybe early next week. And so the first 9 orders for those will be going out as well next week. If you've wanted one of these, then you've got to email me, carl@vofhq.com. It has 10 Byron 1/10 of an ounce bobs in it, and that gives you an ounce of silver, which interestingly today, well, if you'd have taken the advice that we give you pretty much every show, go and buy some silver, you would have bought it on Friday, let's say, and you would have paid under $60 for it. Today, in fact, right now, silver is up over $62. The spot price, and gold is back over 5,300. So it's gone up $100 today, gold, and silver has gone up about $2, a little over $2 just today. And it's been fluctuating a little bit, but it hasn't dropped back down below 60, I don't think, at all today. It started out that way, but is going higher. Remember what I said last week, that this is how it works. It'll go up a little bit. It might even go a little bit higher. It'll stop there for a little while. Then it might drop back, but it will not drop back terribly far. Never goes back as far as it did before, or it hasn't recently. And you could find yourself in a win-win situation here. Get into it sooner rather than later. What are they calling it? Silver September. And they're calling it Silver September for a reason. So be involved and go and grab some. And if you so choose, use ainslieybullion.com.au, use my name or Voice of Freedom in the notes section, and you'll get a little discount when you buy. And you can use that in store as well if you go into Brisbane, the Gold Coast, the new Gold Coast store, which is fabulous, and the Melbourne store as well. Well, what a day it was yesterday. I've got to say I'm very disappointed, and I want to apologise to those people I was going to catch up with in Brisbane at the Brisbane March. I got out of bed yesterday morning, really couldn't walk, made it very difficult. And today, foot seems to be on the mend. So I don't know, bloody ridiculous. However, we did have a lot of people. Vince ran 4 channels, or 4 different streams on the FBN channel yesterday. I had a little bit of a go with Clayton, who was kind enough to log into me while he was at the march. And, that was Brisbane covered, at least. Here is what actually happened in Adelaide. Can I show you this? This is, I think, from Tim Dwyer.
As far as the eyes can see. As far as the eyes can see.
As far as the eyes can see. Look. Try and remove that and turn that off. As far as the eyes can see. And that was pretty much the state of play in every capital city. Now, while one voice seemed to be the one that the mainstream media took notice of last week, one voice that they tried to pin all of this on, that one voice stood her ground, I think, very, very well, and under huge amounts of pressure, managed to put together what I think was a fabulous march in Sydney, even though I wasn't there. But behind the scenes, a great march everywhere else around the country, not just in the capital cities, but in the smaller towns and cities that decided to get involved as well. So Let's welcome her to the show and find out what it was all like putting it together. Hello, Bec Freedom. G'day, Jesse. Nice to have you on the show.
Hey guys,
G'day.
hey.
How you going?
Mate, how's your voice, first of all?
Yeah, my voice is a bit rough, so I sound like Darren Lockyer. But I'll do my best.
That's all right. We'll fight our way through it. So, Bec, you probably had the best night's sleep you've had in a month last night, did you?
No, actually, because I swear the adrenaline was so high. I was just scrolling and scrolling and trying to see how other states went. So no, hopefully tonight I'll have a good sleep. But yeah, no, last night I was too pumped. Like, yeah, and I'm sure anybody else that attended one of the events will be saying the same thing because the adrenaline and spirits being raised from that event was just amazing.
So that's well, one of the great things I want to talk about. The fact of the matter was, you and I have been communicating for the last few weeks about this, and neither you nor I expected there to be huge blow-ups of the kind that mainstream media were pushing forward. How do you feel today after everything that's happened? And while there were minor issues in certain places, you must be very proud of the way, A, it came together, but B, how Australians came together to make it work.
100% I am. And a huge credit to all the other organisers as well. Like massive shout out to Bender for Brisbane and his team, Billy for Western Australia and his team, Melbourne to the people for coming together. But yeah, like I think it was amazing. I'm so proud of every organiser and every single Australian that got out on the streets and had an awesome time. I think it really showed us how urgent this cause is as well, with how many people showed up.
I've been watching mainstream media's coverage of it today, and aside from what we expected them to try and beat up the few issues, the small issues that happened, Channel 9, I've noticed, seemed to take a completely different tact. Have you seen that?
Yeah, so that was one of actually the first that I saw. I just saw, I think it's about maybe 2-minute clip. Apparently their longer version isn't as glorifying, because that's what the one I saw was. It was absolutely glorifying. That very much shocked me. I wasn't expecting that.
It's a nice thing to have mainstream media do that, even if they were the only ones, though.
100%. I can't help but wonder if maybe they saw everything that was going on and decided maybe we should go easy on her. I don't know. I have no idea, but it was, good to see a nice, honest report. I mean, other than the numbers, they said 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000. That was, not well. Actually, while we're talking, I'm just going to start flicking through a few pictures. I'll try and put us. Oh no, I'll try and bring you back. I'll put us somewhere. No, there's got to be a picture here somewhere where we can go. There we go. So I'll flick through a few of these pictures while we're going on, and most of these, or quite a lot of them, are from Sydney, but I've got photos that have come in from all over the country. You're quite likely to see your heads poke up here occasionally, folks. Some pretty good signs floating around too on people's shoulders, on their backs, and being carried. Bec, what was the overall feeling regarding the speeches in Sydney yesterday?
All right. So we had the designated speakers, obviously. So the more professional style names. So we had John Ruddick. Who else did we have?
Stephen McInerney, Matthew Hopkins. We had John Ruddick.
Yeah, John Ruddick.
Steve Christou, Stuart Bonds.
Yeah. And they were all great. Like
Dave Right Now.
Oh yeah, Dave Right Now. And they were great. And then we did a open mic. And anyone that knows what an open mic is knows that it is literally open to anyone. Jesse's even said today, like, if some Antifa guy had came up and said, I want to speak, we would have let them up to speak.
Look, Bec and I are both, and we've always been big free speech advocates. And the way I see it, an open mic at an event like that is first in, best dressed. So, yeah, that's right. If it did happen to be Antifa first in line, I would have handed them a mic as well. So that's the way I see it. That's the public square. If you don't like other people's opinion, then maybe you shouldn't be in the public square.
Well, that's the thing about free speech, isn't it, Jesse? The fact is, everybody has the right to free speech. Nobody says you have to agree with what they're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, look,
And
even with that, so obviously everyone knows by now there were a couple of NSN speakers, members of the National Socialist Network. And look, they were quickly whispered to, keep it on topic, don't mention Hitler, you're sweet, go ahead. And they didn't, they were fine. But the thing that I've been bringing up to people, because at the moment it's been about 20% complaints, 80% love and respect, even for those speakers. And I've been saying, I mean, look, why didn't you like them? What was your issue? And they're like, oh, they were saying white Australia and all this. And I said, okay, did you like the other speakers? And they said, yeah, they were great. I said, okay, well, the other speakers were saying, let's talk about the Anglo-Saxons, let's talk about the Europeans. I go, which are white Australians. I'm like, they all said the exact same thing, except the NSN is a bit more crass when they say it, and they like that shock value. It's the exact same message.
At the end of the day, whether people like it or not, and I know it hurts some feelings, and there's all sorts of different arguments, but at the end of the day, it was Europeans who settled this country and originally built this country. That is actually our nation's heritage. That's the facts of it, and I don't know what else to say.
We can't wish them away, you know. We can't put a new pair of boobs on it, although the doctors might try one day. You know, they've been trying it to everybody else. Hey, the groups that you got together, and you've mentioned NSN, how were those speeches taken on board by the audience? In Melbourne, Thomas Sewell wasn't really welcomed by the crowd.
Well, so I've actually had a long phone call with a friend from Melbourne today, because it's hard to gauge by the presence like on a video. It's really hard. And she actually said that there were a few boos, but mostly because apparently Tom started off his speech by saying, we don't all have the same opinions politically, and that's fine, but we are all here for the same cause. I'll be honest, I haven't actually listened to his speech yet. I've heard bits and pieces when I've heard Jesse listening to it. But when he started it off like that, they feel like the protesters that are always on the ground feel that kind of helped set the tone a little bit. But yeah, they said there was a few boos, but yeah, there was also lots of clapping and cheers. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's for Melbourne. In Sydney, something that people keep saying is that everybody started leaving when they got up and spoke. But what I will say is that's not what happened. People were starting to leave because our PA system couldn't handle that crowd. We couldn't get it to go loud enough for them to hear. So people had started leaving because, yeah, I mean, they were literally only cheering when everyone else was.
We've heard from several friends and people who were in the crowd, and people were hanging out right at the back, and they could only hear muffles. They couldn't actually hear the speeches. So all the people who were dispersing at the end towards the final speeches, none of those guys could hear it anyway. And I was up there on stage the whole time, and for the last three designated speakers, people were thinning out. The crowd was thinning out even when we had our designated speakers on. So I don't think it was directly because of those open mic speakers. But look, they are obviously controversial, politically radioactive figures, and I think they know that, and they get the crowd riled up. They get it very polarized, and they are polarizing figures. But you know, as we said earlier, if we're serious about free speech, we need to be able to allow these conversations.
And it seemed to be a mixed reaction. There were cheers, there were boos. It was I will say though, in my opinion, there was more cheers than boos. That's for sure.
I would say so. Yep. There has been a concerning video come out, and I'm only bringing this up because I've heard two different stories from both sides of this argument. But apparently, when the NSN guys were leaving the Melbourne march, and they were walking back up past the shrine where there is some sort of Aboriginal camp out happening at the moment, there is video of the NSN guys coming up over the hill, kicking their way through the camp, rampaging through it. throwing stuff, pulling signs out of the ground. Somebody apparently got hit. I don't know who, where, what, why, or whatever. And of course, everybody's claiming it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it was them, it was somebody else. We were provoked, it was whatever. Now, if you look at the video on face value, it does look pretty bad. It looks like a whole bunch of black guys in black-clad clothes are running over the hill and overrunning this this campsite that's happening in the gardens. But I've also heard that those guys were walking quite happily back to their vehicles, which were parked along St Kilda Road there somewhere, and they discovered, well, first of all, they were getting a lot of abuse and from certain sections up in that area. And then I heard that they've got to their vehicles and found that they've been scratched, like keyed really badly. And there were some people from this group apparently throwing abuse at them and ha, 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 your keys, that's what you deserve. And that's what instigated this. Now, can't find anybody who really wants to talk about it. And I find it quite incredulous to believe that the NSN would be running up the hill and overrunning an Aboriginal camp. It's not the Aborigines they're against. So I find that a little bit hard to believe, but certainly there are some damaging videos for NSN at least floating around, and that might excite some young people. Like you say, they are fairly young blokes who get involved in this. They're just passionate, and as you pointed out, their vocabulary probably isn't as strong as people who've been, wandering around this earth a little bit longer. I think, for the most part, aside from a couple of engineered scuffles, I think the whole thing went off terribly well. Did the police get back to you at all? Have you had any feedback from them about your organisation and how it all went?
No, so I haven't.
Just on the day,
Yeah.
really, they were all quite happy with how it went.
Yeah. On the day, they were a bit nervous about the open mic, but I mean, I also had conversations with them prior to the event and did tell them that that's what I would be doing. But yeah, that they were fine. I mean, as we were walking away from the park, I was yelling out thanks to all the cops that were just kind of taking a break and just chilling, and it was all good reactions back, definitely. But I haven't actually spoken to them yet.
So there was a huge amount of angst in the lead up to this event. Many people stuck their hands up, said, we want to be involved. And you and the other organisers said, no, this is going to go a different way. And then all hell broke loose. Egos got in the way. And I'm going to say that. You don't have to. I'm going to tell everybody it was egos that got in the way. People who are pulling both dicks at the same time and have no earthly right to be grabbing hold of one of them. They must be eating a little bit of humble pie tonight, or do you think they're going to stitch together some other narrative?
No, they're just going to go hard. I think they will never admit that they're wrong. I'll say that I've had a conversation with somebody that will remain anonymous for now because I'm not a rat. And they've doubled down. Like they've absolutely doubled down and tried to still go with you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. I think that every other person that threw this event under the bus will do the same thing. I think they might be like they might admit shockness, like that they're shocked because, I mean, they were saying, oh, you'll get 100 people. So I think they might be like, oh, wow, okay. I have seen a couple of comments from Cooker Watchers that have said, she actually pulled this off, like good on her. But yeah, no, I think they're going to double down tenfold and go harder.
Yeah, look, and the fact is, obviously neither Becca or I are NSN, but whether or not they were there, they would have still called us Nazis. They would have still tried to run that narrative. And that's the whole thing. I think the entire day was a huge success. A lot of the states had some good speakers. Brisbane and Sydney pulled it off really well. Had great speakers that stayed on topic. There was little to no violence. There was a couple of little things that happened, but that's always the way with big crowds of people. So I think if you look at the positives, I think it was overall a really good thing.
Yeah, and we always knew the mainstream media, particularly the press, the tomorrow's, bottom of the birdcage. they love to stir this up. On the front page of the Courier Mail today, fair dinkum, the photojournalist who took the photo must be thinking he's been kissed on the special part by a fairy, because he's managed to get like the punch in mid-throw sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the front page of the paper. So
It is a good photo.
just sickening the way that they do it. But
Well,
and then of course, sorry, go Jess.
Oh, sorry. I actually got throttled at the start of the march. There was this drunk bloke. I've seen him on the media as well. He's wearing like a big bloke wearing an Akubra, and you know, you smell VB on his breath. And I was carrying the big cart full of all the gear, full of the speakers and everything, and he wouldn't get out of the way, and he was stumbling around. And I was like, "Move out of the way now! Move!" And then he's literally grabbed me by the throat, and then I was ready to start fighting back. But then luckily 5 blokes just all sort of jumped on him and got him off me, and finally got him out of the way.
That's been the resounding story I've heard today. If there was some twerp who was going to stand up and be a problem, immediately there were half a dozen to a dozen guys there to say, no, it's not happening.
Yep.
You know, we'll all take you down. So I found that very heartening to see. And to be honest, it's perfectly in line with what I believe Australian values are. Australians aren't going to let somebody be beaten up because they have a different opinion. Australians will protect the weak. Australians will stand up and help. Unfortunately, we've been brainwashed, I believe, into turning a blind eye, saying, you know, we see somebody having a hard time in the street, or we see, you know, somebody crying hysterically. Most people don't go and see if they can help. Most people, you know, oh, gee, I'm glad that's not me, and they just don't want to be involved. It's about time we got back involved with the country, and I think you guys kicked it off yesterday with a great rally. So where does that leave us now with the 13th of September? Because that's the one that everybody decided was going to be the real rally, the real one where the proper people would be able to speak. I think they're probably going to have to eat their hats a little bit over that. But this isn't a one-upmanship thing. Are we going to come together? Are we all going to come together for the 13th of September? Or are we going to try and tell them that there's going to be Antifa in their meeting?
Me personally, I will not be attending. I cannot be a part of something that tried to literally tear me down and make me wish I was dead. I can't be a part of that, but the cause and the people are more important. So I encourage everybody, so long as the messaging is suited to your beliefs, I recommend everybody attend.
I think these have got to be held regularly, and we all need to attend. We all need to take our flags, and that was the other nice thing I noticed yesterday: the flags. The sea of blue was absolutely tremendous, absolutely tremendous. I personally would have liked to have seen, you know, a bit more red in there, but that's just me. But what I didn't see was many Aboriginal flags at all. And like you, I said last week, I can't see a reason for the Aboriginal flag to be there. It's not an Australian flag. It is a divisive flag. Most Australians view it as, you know, the Aboriginal flag. It's not the Australian flag. And most Aboriginals don't want us to have anything to do with their flag as a white fella. That's been my experience with it. So it's not a unifying flag at all. And, you know, while I have no objection to the flag in any way, shape or form, I just don't think it was the right forum for it. And you correctly identified that. Were you surprised that people actually took notice?
I was. There was a few stranded ones in Brisbane that I saw. Just a couple, nothing that was noticeable. We had a couple of people that was, like when there were speakers up that weren't liked. There was a lady with an Aboriginal flag that was like trying to wave it in front of them, almost knocking them in the head. So she was asked to politely move. During the march, she kept insisting on trying to be in front of our banner with her Aboriginal flag, and I asked her if she could please move because, you know, we've got the media here. We're trying to get the banner seen, and it just wasn't working for us. And I asked the police if they could ask her to move behind the banner, and they didn't. So she ended up leading the march right in front of police. And that's fine, whatever, each to their own. I can't stop somebody from doing something in a public place. But I do appreciate, and I hope that people now see my point as well. I do appreciate all the Australian flags. Yes, it would be better if they were some of the red ones as well. But most of these people that attended weren't freedom movement people. That's what people have to realize. We joined them. This was released in the wild with all the normies that are just fed up Australians. So a lot of them, they don't know about the red flag. But I hope everyone seen all the footage of a sea of blue now get where I was coming from when I requested no foreign flags and no Aboriginal flags. Not because I hate anyone, because I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to send a clear message of Australians coming together.
I was watching Alex Jones a little earlier today. It certainly made an impression on him.
Yeah, we saw that. It's gone worldwide for sure.
Well, if you watch mainstream media, in fact, I'll bring up, if I've got that story here, see. News.com has put a story out in the last few hours. Well, I know it came out at 6:01, so the last hour-ish. Racist and proud, the neo-Nazi scenes that shock Australia. Now, they're having this is the interview with one of the NSN guys in Melbourne, I think it is, from memory, or maybe not. With, lo and behold, a Channel 10 reporter. I didn't think they could employ them anymore. I didn't think they had any money.
Sydney. Yeah,
I think it was the Sydney one.
Oh, okay. There you go. They've got to have them in Sydney. There was a quote out of that which I took out and thought this was great. So this is a quote that came out of the article that came out at 6:01 on news.com.au. In Melbourne, anti-immigration protesters clashed with counter-protesters, with police deploying pepper spray and baton rounds in a bid to prevent violence between the groups. We've now got police introducing violence to make sure that the protesters aren't going to be violent. This is the quality of our mainstream media today, guys. So I'll give it to you again. I'll read it to you. It says, in Melbourne, anti-immigration protesters clashed with counter-protesters, with police deploying pepper spray and baton rounds in a bid to prevent violence between the groups. So the coppers get violent and they beat everybody and spray everybody. And we do have, let me find them.
I did see the photo of them walking out with their guns as well, like the the pellet guns.
Yep. Well, that's them having a good go with their pepper spray in under Flinders Street Station. I think there's a few more copper shots here somewhere. Maybe not.
They let off pepper spray in the pub that we were at last night, and I think that might be one of the reasons why my voice is so messed up, and I got a bit of asthma today as well. So
that'll do it to you. The capsicum gets in everywhere.
I will say though, the pub.
Oh, the pub. Yeah. Look, what?
So
what
everybody basically left by the time this all happened.
It was dark by this point. It was dark outside, and there was I don't know, maybe 30 protesters, not even at this point at the pub. To be honest, I was just sitting there having a couple of beers and wasn't paying too much attention. I thought there was a fight breaking out outside. A passerby guy was just screaming out in the pub, yelling out that people are racist. And then a few people went out and a fight nearly spilled out onto the street. And then 5 minutes later, the cops basically rocked up and just started grabbing people and chucking them out.
Yeah.
They didn't arrest anybody though. They just time to go.
Oh, home. They did. Yeah.
Was there?
Oh, they did. There's 2 people being charged.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right.
So people really tried to
So
fight back. What's so different? One bloke ran.
What's so different on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday with a fight that spills out onto a footpath at a pub? What makes it unique? What makes last night unique?
Well, that's the thing. Now, well, in my opinion, I mean, I don't know. It got pretty heated. Like, by the time all this was over, there was like 14 cop cars, riot squad. I got physically lifted off the ground by 3 police and thrown onto the cement outside the pub.
Yeah, and she literally did nothing.
I did nothing at all.
I was the one who told the cops to get a real job, and then they just walked me outside, and then next minute I see they throw back out on her hands and knees. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
It was ridiculous. Like, I literally bowled people over that was standing outside below the steps,
Yeah.
like bowled them over onto their feet. I felt bad about that. But yeah, then I think they were expecting me to fight back. Whereas I just looked up at them, shook my head, and got up and limped away. I'm okay, for anyone that's wondering. Like, I'm fine. I've got some pretty banged up knees, and some bloody elbows, but I'm definitely okay. And I will be looking into things further, because it was probably the most excessive use of force that I've personally ever experienced with the police. And that's saying something, because I'm from Melbourne originally. So yeah, like, considering I literally did nothing wrong, I said, hold on, let me grab my stuff, went to grab my drink, finished my drink. Obviously that made her angry. I don't know. But yeah, dragged me out, and yeah, it was ridiculous. But while I was across the road watching, like, they're lining cops up at the pokey entrance, ready to like get them to run in. It was absolutely insane. And all we were doing while we were there was literally singing the national anthem every maybe half an hour, which was a bit excessive, but it was just Aussies having a drink and having a good time. There was no real drama. It was, yeah, completely insane.
Yeah, unbelievable. The general feeling that I got, particularly from people who were at the Brisbane March, I spoke to a lot of them yesterday, was the feeling of unity.
Yeah.
Complete strangers hugging in the streets. I've got a mate of mine who's in the building game. He took two 16-year-olds and a 17-year-old along. And he said it's the best day out they've ever had. They've been hugging strangers and making friends and speaking shit and just loving being part of Australia and being able to stand up for Australia. Were there many young people in Sydney?
Yeah, there was a fair few. There wasn't any little kids that I saw, I don't think, but I might have missed them. But there were a lot of young teenagers. I'd say maybe 10 and up as well.
I feel like there was a lot of men between the ages of 25 and 40 as well.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a lot of that age bracket
Yeah.
men.
And then a lot of older women, like maybe over 50 type thing.
Yep. And a lot of return service people.
Yes.
Yeah, including
that-
one of our speakers.
Yeah, one of our speakers was.
Yeah, well, I think the organizer in Brisbane's ex-military too.
Yeah.
Organizer for Brisbane. Yeah. So
Yeah.
goes to show that we can organise these things. It doesn't have to be done by professional protesters, and if this is the first one not done by professional protesters, then I think you both should get a pat on the back, and I think maybe some of those people who've been hammering you for the last month might owe you an apology. And people, if you don't get the apology, I think you should draw attention to the fact that these people who speak apparently with great knowledge about the freedom movement were unable to discern the mood of the Australian people. They thought we were all racists. They thought we were all going for a fight. They thought wrong. They were proved wrong. And I think they should be man enough to stand up and admit that. We're not going to see that from the likes of Joe Hildebrand, can I point out. Joe Hildebrand thinks that everybody should be hung from the nearest light pole, I think, that was involved with the march. Everybody's a racist, according to him. He's a journalist with News Limited, I think. And he is he's what we call in the radio industry a wannabe, because print media journalists are the worst kind of human beings. They always want to work in the electronic media, and for various reasons, they aren't good enough to work in the electronic media. They're good at writing words. They're just not good at speaking them. The problem with Joe Hildebrand is he's been reading his own press for far too long, and he's had a lot of air blown up his ass, so much that his ears have swollen. And I don't know whether or not the left is paying him to say such ridiculous and rude, outlandish things about the people of Australia, but he should be hanging his head in shame at his inability to pick the mood of the Australian people. And if it's not his inability to pick the mood of the Australian people, then it's his outright deceit and deception at trying to gaslight you into what he believes. There's only two choices here, isn't there?
Yeah. Who's the one who I think he had Joe Hildebrand on as a guest on Sky? Is it Pete Murray? Is that his name? I don't want
Oh,
to
yeah,
say
Paul Murray.
Paul Murray.
Paul
Paul
Murray.
Murray.
Yep.
Yeah, he was going heavily against this rally as well, and basically, I heard him saying during last week, "Oh, just don't go. You know, you're just asking for trouble if you go." And now I think that he saw that Pauline Hanson went and other politicians went. It seems like he might try and start backpedaling a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think him, Hildebrand, and a lot of people involved with Sky got this wrong. To be honest, they just plain and simple got it wrong.
Yeah, I'm starting to think of Sky News just the same way as Mark Latham does, unfortunately. Question here from
Yep.
Charlie Brown. Charlie, I got your email, dude. Sorry, I should have linked you in, but I got Bec in the show and it's all hard. Do you know why Jacob wasn't allowed to speak at the Brisbane event? I don't imagine you do. Removed from the approved
Jacob
list 24 hours before. I don't know. Didn't seem to be an open mic or free speech in Brisbane. I think that's probably a matter of opinion, Charlie, but you're the only person you're the only person I've ever heard that's complained about anything to do with the
I
speeches in
reckon that's a
Brisbane.
troll. So hold on. I reckon that's a troll. And they're probably meaning, do you reckon?
They're talking about the NSN guy. 'Cause
Yeah.
I heard that the cops were going to shut that down if they let them speak. That's what I heard someone say today in an X space.
But just because so I allocated the state organisers, yes. But I put them pretty much in control of how they ran it so long as it stayed with each messaging. So yes, that does not mean that every single state had an open mic, free speech kind of section. I chose to do that because of how I know how the system works. I know how rallies have run in the past. I know that general Australians have never really had a chance to speak at rallies because you get told to shut up. You're not important enough to get on the stage. So I wanted to have an open mic and let the people have their say. But yeah, not every state did it that way. South Australia attempted it, but they were railroaded by somebody else that's claiming to be an organizer that isn't. It was up to each state on how they felt comfortable to run things. And yeah, I believe in having a open mic free speech, but maybe they didn't feel comfortable doing that for whatever reason. And that's fine.
Yeah, and look, I've been at rallies myself that I want to get up and speak at an open mic, and they don't do it, or I don't get let up to speak. And I mean, yesterday as well, I had to apologise to at least 3 people who didn't get there in time for the open mic, and the cops were saying we got to shut it down. You know, time's up, and I had to cut it short. I said there was only going to be 5 speakers on the open mic. It was first in, best dressed. And at the end, there was still probably about 5 or 6 people
More than that.
waiting to try and get a mic. And I felt bad. But, you know, you try and do the right thing. You try and make it free speech. You know, some people from the freedom movement got up and got a mic, you know, and that's the whole point of it, in my opinion.
So can I just add on something just because I saw one of the comments and I just want to address it. The one that said that free speech is fine, but the topic or something was unsustainable immigration. I just want to make it clear that the messaging from the very, very start, the flyers that the media was showing everywhere, those are the original flyers. On those, yes, it did say end mass immigration, but it also said protect and defend Australian culture, heritage, way of life. That was the messaging the whole time. It was never changed. The people changed it, the people on the ground, because they didn't like one messaging, so they would remove something else and change it to something else. But the messaging was always that from the get-go, and that's what every single speech spoke about. Even the freedom movement people that jumped up, they, I think, stayed pretty on topic around that as well. They mentioned a few little things about policy and the governors and all that, and that's fine. They generally, though, kept on topic. That was the messaging from the very start, and it never changed. If you thought it was something else or you think it didn't include that, that's not on me because my flyers never changed.
Ride the spiral. Calm the farm, dude. I think you're spiraling up your own arsehole here. You're getting a little excited.
Why wouldn't I?
Why wouldn't you?
It's first in, best dressed. We gave it an open mic. We had Brendan there. We had a couple of those
Mona.
boys. I don't know. Yeah, Mona. I don't know who was who, and it was the mic was basically a hot potato at that point. That's the idea of an open mic. It's the public square.
And
It's
the
a
fact
point
of the matter is, that he's going off at the fact, or she, whoever it is going off at the fact that you gave them a platform. The fact of the matter is, they've got a platform of their own anyway, and they turn up to any event like this because it's in their remit to turn up to it. To not give them a platform is to go against everything that we believe with free speech. Now, if you're soft-brained enough to think that the words coming from somebody you don't like and don't respect are going to somehow eat into your brain and make you a racist, you're a sick person. If you don't like what they say, you can do what thousands of people did in various cities yesterday when these guys got up to talk, and that's turn around and walk away. That's what many people did. Some stayed. Some stayed to boo. Some stayed to clap. Some stayed to cheer. Some stayed because they had nowhere else to go. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You
and the fact is,
this twerp to come on and accuse you guys of, oh, you've given them a platform.
So what?
Yeah.
What don't you
And
understand about free speech, you idiot?
Yeah,
I mean,
they do have their own platform. Before they were like a lot of them are banned from X, but some of them had huge X accounts where they'd get huge traction. And I guarantee you, if they didn't get up in time to get on the open mic, they would have gone and done their own demonstration, screamed into the megaphone, and they would have done something of their own anyway. I betcha. I'll betcha.
100%.
Yeah, everyone would have had to
100%.
listen to him anyway.
Now, what we have, well, what we, I'm including myself there, and I had nothing to do with this. What you guys have done is you've given them an opportunity to stand up in a public forum, put forward their thoughts, their remarks, their whatevers, their mantra to the public. Now, that's going to work one of two ways. It's going to draw people to them, or it's going to push people away from them. And I think most Australians aren't drawn to them. You know, there is a certain section of the community that is, but it's a very small section of the community, as was highlighted yesterday brilliantly because of the amount of blue and the fact that there was next to no issues at all. So ride the spiral. Take the spiral out of your ass and stop smoking and, come join the real world. These people who still go off and think that this was a racist rally. This is you are showing your racism by suggesting that.
Don't even get me started on the amount of racism I've seen in the last 3 weeks. My goodness. You want to say that like there's no such thing as reverse racism? Yeah, okay. Most of the comments I've been popping is, oh, but what culture? What, you want to drink VB and go bash your wife and like beat your kids? It's like, what? Like that is in itself racism. Or saying you're white, bogan trash, this country isn't yours, fuck off. That is racism. Like nobody, like it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah.
They say it's reverse racism, but it is just racism.
Yeah. Calling somebody, I won't say because I know you're on YouTube, but the CRACKER word, I know that'll get you banned, so I won't say it. Yeah, it gets you banned on your platforms. But yeah, calling me that.
What
like
if you say it with cheese?
But yeah, like, I mean, that word doesn't offend me. I'm not going to cry about it. But when it's said by someone that's darker skinned in a hateful way, it's very clear how they're meaning it. So us standing up for Australia is racist, but they can go hard and call me things. But, it's a double standard in society. And I think that's why it's so important to have events like these.
So Charlie Brown is in the chat. I'll put this up so you can see it. But what's the go with the Brisbane rally putting up a new Indian import up to speak at the Brisbane event and kick out Jacob, who obviously had to get his word in? Well, maybe the fact was the people organising Brisbane may have decided that getting some very positive words from an Indian who's come into Australia because he really wants to be here and be part of the Australian culture and be immersed in it, rather than just coming here for the truck driving job, is a good thing. There are plenty of great Indians who come here to have a better life. Have you ever been to India? Have you had to dig your own hole to take a shit? Go to India. Experience all the love and joy of it. But it's the government that allows these people out here. Do not blame the people. It's the government. If you've got anger there somewhere, Charlie, and you've certainly got anger, have it with the government, dude. Don't go taking it out on people who are not taking advantage. They are just taking up the largesse our government is offering, which I'm also hearing is being paid. The government is being paid by the Indian government to take Indian people. So I'm hearing.
That wouldn't
Maybe
surprise me.
that's where the $50,000 comes back for the universities, I'm sort of guessing. But,
I think that is a policy that they do. And yeah, I heard about that guy in Brisbane. Apparently, he just kept insisting that he wanted to speak, and he was showing them their speech. But I don't think it. I think he ended up getting booed as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, I
Karen
heard
Beck.
as well about Jacob. I didn't know he was trying to speak on the day, but I heard on an X space. I can't remember who said it. I was nearly falling asleep on the couch. But someone said that apparently the cops were saying they were going to shut it down if members of the NSN got the microphone.
But I need to clear this up as well. I
I'm
don't
not
know
too
what
sure, though. I
that
don't know.
person's saying, but as far as I am aware, and my knowledge is pretty strong on this, Jacob was not on the list as a speaker. I will say that.
Yeah, and I don't think they did an open mic either. And,
Yeah.
and it was up to the organisers of that how they were to run their own rally.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
that's
right.
That's their prerogative.
And you guys, I want to stress, you guys organised Sydney. You didn't. I mean, you were in the background of helping the others come together with a plan for the other cities, but you weren't organising them. Your name wasn't on the paperwork in any way, shape, or form. So
No.
you can't be held responsible.
Bec was the national organiser. This whole thing wouldn't have happened nationwide if it weren't for Bec. She delegated each state organiser, and then we ended up teaming up with the likes of Ozpil and his friend who was doing the website, the logistics and promotion, and that's how it sort of came together. But Bec delegated the organisers and worked with them all directly. And once
it gave them free run on the ground.
Yeah, once they got it off the ground, it was theirs to run how they wanted to. But 100% Bec was the national organiser.
We're seeing a lot of reports about the Palestinian groups that turned up to various different parades. There is, just so people are aware, there is actually some debate going on as to whether or not the people who turned up carrying Palestinian flags and pertaining to be Palestinians were in fact Palestinians. There's a lot of doubt that they're actually genuine. So, particularly in Melbourne.
This is the Australia rally. I didn't see any Palestinian flag.
Oh, in the crowd. Are you talking about in our crowd, or are you talking about just the counter protest?
In Melbourne, they had there was a Palestinian flag and some Aboriginal flags together, and apparently there is a reason for the Aboriginal flag to be flying with the Palestinian flag, which would put them at odds with all the organisers and all the requests and everything else that went out about flags. So it goes to show the mindset of those people who were going to or wanting to present those flags. They wanted to create an issue. They wanted to create a problem. And we all know that there are many corporate Aborigines who are very, very well paid to do exactly that. So they don't care about their people. They don't care about their culture. All they care about is the next handout they're going to be given and the next little job they'll be given from their government handler. So,
honestly, I did think we were going to see more trouble from the left in Sydney. It was a little bit disappointing, I must say, because
don't say that, Jesse.
No, I don't mean trouble. I don't mean violence trouble. I just mean, the contrast of the two rallies together and stuff that we saw in Melbourne and Brisbane, but definitely not the violence we saw in Melbourne, obviously. But we started at Central, which is near Surrey Hills, and then ended up in near Newtown over at Camperdown. So I was hoping for some Antifa or something, come on, guys. Entertain us. You talked up a big game on social media and you didn't even show up.
Well, we did have a few come in,
Antifa.
but they were identified quite fast and then removed swiftly.
Okay.
But they weren't.
The big Antifa groups do not do not go anywhere anymore because George Soros isn't paying them to anymore. So all you're getting now fronting out in the Antifa, under the Antifa banner, are the diehard supporters who are going to do it because they're too brain dead to figure out they've been taken for a ride for the last few years. But yeah, Antifa for the most part is practically dead, although they are working on a new name, and we'll see some more of that, I think, in the next few weeks in America starting to come out. But we'll wait and see. Guys, we haven't got much time left. Bec, is there something you want to say to the people about the rally, or more particularly maybe to the ones who have been against you so hard in the last month or so?
Yeah, should I say it? Look,
I threw that one at you, sorry.
No, you did, and you've made me, because I really do have something to say, but I just don't know if I should say it. Look, to the people that have been coming at me so hard, I was somebody that you guys have known for about 5 years now. You've known my story, you know how I got involved, you know everything about me. You know when I've hit my lows and hit my highs. It's a real damn shame that you couldn't get behind me. It's a real damn shame that you tried to show all the worst things I've ever said online instead of talking about all the positives that I've done or everything that I've done to help people or help the movement. That's fine. They always focus on the worst of you, not the best of you. But the ones that really hurt me is the people that were actual friends of mine that I would still speak to on a weekly basis. And to those people, I'm sorry, but a big F you. I will not forgive you. I wish you no harm or ill will. But as far as I'm concerned, you're no longer in my friends list and no longer in my life. You put me in one of the worst places that I have ever been in emotionally. And you nearly bloody broke me. You didn't, but you nearly did. And for that, I wish you the best in life. But yeah, see you later. You're out of mine.
And that's, I think, a very wise thing to do. These sorts of efforts, you get to know who your friends are. And
100%.
They come out of the woodwork or they disappear into it. It's generally how it works. Well, I hope you've picked up a few new friends that are going to look after you, and I hope we get to see a lot more of you here with the Voice of Freedom. Be great to have you involved. You will find nobody more willing to take up the fight for you than me at this point in time, because I hate people who think they're better than others and start bashing from a distance.
I have to say, well, Carl, thank you as well. Yeah, because there's very few people within our community that decide to pick up a phone and say, hey, seen a lot of crap online. What's going on? Instead of just jumping online and saying, don't go to this event by Bex. You know, she's a piece of shit. She's a Nazi. She's this, she's that. Very few people actually sent me a message and said, hey, what's going on? They just jumped on the bandwagon. So, Carl, freaking thank you for, you know, having a phone call with me, finding out the ins and outs of what was going on, hearing me out, and then making an informed decision on your own on how you behaved about the situation. I really appreciate that. And it shows great character.
No worries at all, Bec. I don't like seeing anybody get picked on. And what really piqued my interest was hearing that you were going on with Ben Fordham. And I thought, maybe given we have a mutual friend who once tried to get on with Ben Fordham, and I think he's still got paying the court costs for it, I thought I might give you a bit of a heads up as to how sometimes that can play out on the inside of the radio game. And as it turned out, it might have worked out all right that you got that heads up. So I'm pleased I was able to help you a bit there. So, but yeah, you're quite right. Very few people will pick up the phone and in our game, if you get hot, what we call hot, it means that you've said something that's upsetting people. I say shit that upsets people every day. I may not say it in an NSN way or in any other offending way, but I'm bloody sure I upset as many people as I make happy with just about every show that I do. We can't go living our lives wanting to make everybody happy. It will never work. It will never work. All I tried to do, and I think what you were trying to do for the last month, was be honest and tell people honestly what you felt and what you felt was going to happen, what you feel Australia needed. And as it turns out, I'm going to conservatively say 250,000 people around Australia this weekend agree with you.
Could be, yeah. I think it might be close to that number. And
I could be more.
yeah,
Probably. Yep. I mean, we're seeing numbers of 100,000 out of Melbourne. I reckon there'll probably 50 or 60 in Sydney. Adelaide, there's probably 10 or 12 there. In Brisbane, there was about 20, although I've seen estimates of 65.
Cairns really showed up. I was
Yeah.
shocked at that.
Far North Queensland.
And far north Queensland. So Townsville, they had a big march in Townsville as well. Skipper
Canberra,
Pete from
yeah,
England.
Canberra's good.
Yep. Bundaberg,
Yeah,
they had one. Harvey Bay, Maryborough, absolute. They walked for a kilometre along the beach, blocked the roads, the whole deal. Really great effort. Yeah, so it was great. And you guys did this. You made that happen. You brought it together. So congratulations. And
thanks, Carl.
how long before you reach up to do it again?
Look, I just wanted to say that everyone in a situation, Bec and I have never done something on this scale. And obviously people know the story of how it kind of just accidentally fell on our laps, and we just did the best we could in the situation. It just kind of landed, and that was landed on us, and that was the circumstance. And everyone wants to be an armchair critic, and as you know, as has been discussed, you can't please everyone. Someone's always going to be upset. Oh, you should have done it like this, or you shouldn't have let them up on stage, or you should have banned this, or you should have allowed that, or you can't please everyone. And at the end of the day, everyone's an armchair critic. And I encourage everyone, if you don't like it, or if you didn't like our one, go and do your own. Have a crack at it then. See how you go.
It's not easy.
See how you go at it.
Yep.
It's not cheap.
Yep.
Yeah, it ain't cheap.
It's not cheap. No. There's no government funding for anything like this, is there?
No. Not unless you're on the left.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's plenty of money. All right, guys. I'll let you go back to your baby and have a good night. Thank you very much for everything that you guys have done. And if I can help in any way, shape, or form, you just pick up the phone, and we'll do what we do. And I hope, Bec, we can see a bit more of you here with the Voice of Freedom.
Definitely, would be happy to help where I can.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Have a great night, and Jesse, good luck. I'll send you an email with some tips on how to get your voice back, mate.
Cheers. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Do you like Bundy rum or Scotch?
Oh, I'm definitely a Scotch guy. Irish whiskey.
Oh, mate, a Jamo. I'll send you a little recipe. I'll send you a little recipe with a Jamo that'll sort your throat right out. And if it doesn't, you won't care. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. See ya.
Bye, guys. Jesse and Bec. Great effort. Tremendous effort. Huge effort that they put in to bring this thing together. And while not everybody is happy, I think the vast majority of people are very happy with the effort that was put out and the love that was shown on the streets of Australia yesterday. And by the look of it, there's going to be a bit more of it shown up in the not too distant future. 13th of September. As I said to you the other day, I think I was talking to Tricky, I don't know, Thursday or Friday last week. It's the first time he and I have ever had a conversation, and it came about because of my hesitation to get behind September the 13th, given the way that the people behind September the 13th here in Australia behaved towards this August 31st very successful march yesterday. I would hope that those people organising the 13th now understand that there is a great deal of support. You don't have to have the right speakers, the proper speakers. And it goes to show that proper organisation, professional protesting organisation, isn't necessarily required. You just need people with the nous and desire to want to do it. And thankfully, in Australia, there doesn't appear to be any shortage of those sorts of people, as we saw yesterday as they flocked around the nation. Signs, chants, and look, some of the chants were probably less enthusiastic than others. I'd love to know what they were chanting at those bastards at the time. But by and large, I think an extremely successful event, and look forward to actually making it to the next one so that my foot doesn't carry on. I said at the start of the show that we've had a bit of a day here on the property. It's been a bit of a sad day, can I say? I say sad because I had to get rid of 2 animals today, and I really don't like getting rid of animals. These are the 2 llama, or alpaca rather, that we have had on the property. It's not a great shot of them, I know. This is as they were being loaded today. That's Lawrence, who's lying down, and Terry, who's deciding he doesn't really want to get inside. I thought I'd get Terry's best angle as we tried to get him in, and then both of them when we got them all in. And then this one nearly made me cry. That's Lawrence looking out the back window of the car as he's driving away. It was, that was difficult, I've got to say. But then they got to their new home and they were introduced to a whole bunch of other alpaca. And what do you know? Getting on like a house on fire. I've got 2 goats out the back who don't know what the hell's happened to their 2 best mates. So they're bleating and carrying on. I've got to go out and give them a cuddle shortly. So a bit of goat love tonight. Shit, if there were 1,000 things I thought I was going to say on the show tonight, that wasn't one of them. Sorry about that. I'm just going to go out and pat the goats. We'll just be sure. This dickhead isn't driving tonight. Be safe on the roads, folks. See you tomorrow. Bye.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!